Hi, it's Christine Daigle.
I'm Jena Brown.
I am the unmuted Kevin Tumlinson.
And I'm JD Barker. Welcome to Writers Inc. So, who is still digging themselves out of this storm?
Oh yeah,
Me.
I
we have a
am
lot of snow.
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it snow
We got,
there?
yeah, we got like 10 feet. No, we didn't get.
Okay.
I was like, wait, hold up, my brain did not compute that.
No, we
But you
had
had you had no, you didn't get snow in Vegas, did you?
no, we didn't
No.
even get any rain. It did get down to freezing though.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal.
It
Oh,
did snow here, and we were iced in. My driveway is this like extreme slope down to the street, so we couldn't leave
you can
without
put
basically.
salt on that. That's what you
Yeah,
do.
if you have salt, you can do
They
that.
don't sell
Yeah.
salt in Texas.
Like we save all our salt for the margaritas here. You
Fair.
can't just throw that stuff away.
But JD, you
So,
sent us pictures of snow up to your second story, which was crazy.
yeah, well, that was kind of BS. So, like, we got about 2 to 3 feet of snow, but I've got a couple like roofs, like where there's windows, like on the second floor, and there's a roof right below it, and like those windows were completely covered,
Oh
because we had
boy.
so much snow. Like now, I'm looking at it though, and Jenna and I were talking about this before we started recording. Like I've got tons of snow just sitting up on the roof, and I don't know if I'm supposed to do anything about it because I'm from Florida. I'm not used to dealing with this
Yeah.
stuff. We've got heated gutters all the way around, which helps. But like in the middle of our roof, like it's kind of sitting there, and there is a slope to it. But at some point, it can
Yeah.
start creating what's called ice dams, can create water leaks, all kinds of things. And so I'm watching my neighbors. If I see neighbors start climbing up on their roof with a snow shovel, then I'll probably have to get up there or hire somebody. I
Yeah.
might do that because I'm
Can
Yeah.
your
scared to death
robot
of
Shoveling
snow.
your
snowblower do it?
Yeah.
Put it on the
Shoveling
roof?
your
My
roof.
robot snowblower cannot do the roof, but it worked like a champ through the storm. It
That's
didn't
nice.
get stuck. I sent it out about every 2 hours. Like we were probably getting like 3 to 4 inches or so an hour. So I kept sending it out every time we had about 3 to 4 inches out there, and it cleared off the whole driveway, went back to its little base, and sat back and waited for the next one. It works great when it's like that real light powdery snow. It's the wet nasty stuff that it has trouble with. But right now, like I've got heated steps in the front of the house, which helps. The Amazon guy can still get to us, but we've got a snow pile in front of the house that is just ridiculous. Like you can't even see like our front yard anymore. It's just this giant pile out
Wow.
there. My dog completely disappears when he goes out the back door. We made like little paths and stuff that he could take, but he keeps jumping off of those. So we just see this dog just vanish in the snow pile, and then a
So
head will pop up like 100 feet down the road.
during the whole thing, when I would take Minnie out, and she's just tiny little Chihuahua Terrier, right? So we got snow, but it wasn't piles. But along the edge of like the side of the house and on certain sides of the fence in our backyard, there wouldn't be any snow for like a couple of inches. And I would take her out, and she would sort of crunch her way over to that and like trot along that, trying to find a place where she could poop. So it was kind of funny to watch.
They actually make these tents that you can set up in your backyard, like off your door, that are specifically made to keep the snow off the dog's potty spot.
I saw
So he
one of
made one
those.
for
Yeah.
little dogs. I could see
Little
that. We
dogs.
used to have a dash hound named Toast that was very like he hated to go outside. If it was raining, if it was snowing, he would not go outside to do his thing. And like he was smart enough to he wouldn't eat or drink like when he saw bad weather outside. So he would go like a day or two when it was snowing and just not touch
Oh
food or water
no.
because he didn't want to have to go out in it.
Oh,
So we had to get creative with putting little roofs over things, because like he was 2-3 inches off the ground, so he couldn't take a whole lot of snow.
Yeah.
yeah.
My dog is weird. If it's raining, she won't go pee in the backyard, but she will in the front yard. Why? I don't know, but like that is
Uh,
her thing. Like I can't figure it's not like it's like protected anymore. It's the same,
yeah.
but
There
I
you
caught
go.
dog
our dog
logic.
doing that the other day too, and when we first got him, there was a spot in front of the house next to the garage. My wife used to take him out there on a leash, like when he was a puppy. But we haven't taken him out there for the longest time, and now we've got the backyard fenced in. And like the other day, I was out there shoveling snow, and like he jumped the fence and went and like pooped in that spot where he used to poop when he was a baby. And then he went back and jumped the fence and went back to the backyard again. So he like specifically just went out front just to do that thing, and then he went back. So
That's pretty cute.
yeah, but I've given up trying to understand dog logic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't. There's no logic.
Nope.
All right. Kevin, what is in the news?
Well, I mean, first up, we have to tell everybody about what we're doing next week, which is
Oh,
the
yes.
Writers Inc. live episode on February 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be able to
Yeah,
find the links to that in the show notes, right?
that's it.
Or are we going to read that link out?
No, we'll just put it
Always
in
fun
the
to
show
read
notes.
URLs out loud.
You can if
it's like
you
you
want
had
to.
a
Yeah.
stroke or something, you know.
Yeah.
479-953. Okay. But yeah, check the show notes. We're going to be doing this live. We can only let the first 100 people in, so if you don't rush to it, you're not going to get to play. You can ask any of your questions live on the air. So,
Yeah.
all right. Other news, I have to scroll. Okay, what's happening in the book market right now? The book market has shifted from blockbuster hits to distributed success. Sales are no longer dominated by a few mega books. Instead, hundreds of mid-list and backlist titles are selling steadily, with attention spread across more books and authors. Reader discovery is now social first and community driven. Platforms like Book Talk, Bookstagram, fandom spaces, and adaptation culture drive genre surges and backlist revivals faster than traditional publishing cycles can react. Genres move at internet speed. Romantasy is leveling off after a huge run. Horror is rising, and manga/graphic novels continue explosive growth, showing that trends peak and shift quickly, making trend chasing risky. Sustainable author careers are built on reader trust, not viral moments. Consistency, backlist, niche audiences, and direct relationships with readers matter more than a single launch week or marketing push. Success compounds over time through connection and community. It's as if Kevin Tumlinson has been saying this for years.
We've had a couple of articles saying these things before, but they were kind of piecemeal. So it was neat to see the whole kind of analysis in one place about how things are shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is this, because this is something indie authors have focused on forever, just
Yeah.
promoting the backlist and just kind of keeping everything afloat. And then, like, indie authors don't really shoot for that big spike at, on launch day or anything like that. It's more about the entire catalog. And I'm wondering if this is the traditional publishers getting on board with that, and now it's just become more visible. So now the mainstream press is starting to report on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those like dirty little secrets though, like because if you like go into like a lot of like where people are trying to get traditionally published, like people are talking about those things, but they're almost like sort of like like in the hallway, like to the side, like whispering, like, okay, we don't really talk about, but this is really how it works. And for a long time it felt like they wanted the narrative to be that big splashy, huge debut, that huge advance, like all those big things. So I wonder if they're just realizing that they can't keep the lid on it anymore in a way. Like,
I think that's
I don't
part
know.
of it. I think part of it is also, as we've talked about before, the dilution of old traditional publishing methods not working.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's a bit of both. Yeah.
I think
This
it
must
comes
be
down
confusing
to,
for.
go ahead, JD.
This must be confusing for bookstores.
Yeah.
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 Because they typically they just they line their shelves with those novels that are coming out on release day. They keep it for a month or so, and then they start the return process.
Right.
But if the buying public isn't really focused on that same thing anymore, that really changes stuff.
Yeah.
I think that readers have become wary of hype because
Oh, for
there's
sure.
been
Yeah.
so much, there'd be the big new thing comes out and it gets all the hype and they go and buy the book and or see the movie or watch the show and it just turns out to be a disappointment because it was all hype and no delivery. And I think now they trust the voices that they listen to, the
Yeah.
friends, the trusted influencers that haven't steered them wrong. And I think that was always inevitable. If you keep pushing that hype button, eventually people get, they get burnt out. There's an actual neurological thing that can happen it's like a callus on their brains. Christine can tell you all about it.
I have callus on my hands from trying to do pull-ups, but that's a different kind of pull-up. Different kind of callus.
Different kind of callus.
Yeah.
But
Equally ineffectual, though.
well, it has to do with well, like, trust. If you follow like an influencer and, you realize that they're not actually being quote unquote honest about like their reviews, like, you just don't you just don't listen to them as much. It's just that trust goes down. And so, you know, and it's not something that happens like that you're necessarily consciously aware of, but I definitely think that you start to see that shift. And that's why, you know, social media has to really feel organic. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build your own audience, build their trust. All right. Newly released documents shed light on Anthropic's plan to scan every book. Anthropic planned to, quote, destructively scan every book in the world under a secret internal initiative called Project Panama, aiming to train its AI on how to write well, according to newly released court documents. The company estimated roughly 130 million unique books globally. Estimated.
Yeah.
I think I misread that. Okay.
No, you did it right.
Sorry, Alex. The company estimated roughly 130 million unique books globally and sought to acquire millions of physical copies, cutting off spines and scanning pages by purchasing through wholesalers and used book vendors like Ingram, Baker & Taylor, Better World Books, and World of Books. At least 1 million books were purchased by October 2024, mostly English language titles with total scanning volume potentially in the multiple millions. Reported spending reached tens of millions of dollars. The documents reveal troubling copyright implications, including Anthropic's belief that, quote, having every book mattered more than literally quality, dismissal of self-published works as lower quality, and evidence that a co-founder personally downloaded books from LibGen prior to the project. I think the greatest crime here is that they cut the spines and covers off
Right?
of the book.
Well, I'm trying to understand that. Did they do that because they felt that would keep them out of trouble? Like, we physically bought this book so we can scan it? Because, like, it's way easier to write some code to read an EPUB and then just download a million EPUBs. You know,
I don't know.
They by far took the hard way to do this.
Yeah, I don't know if it was cheaper or just if there were books that aren't available digitally they were trying to get. But I mean, obviously they're downloading from LibGen, which is digital. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it does sound like I'd be more inclined to go with JD's. Like, yeah, now they're being like, hey, we had the physical book, which we're allowed to now scan in because we bought it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. That may end up actually working in their favor that they purchased those because they can show that there was no intent to steal it, and as long as they're not distributing copies of it, then
Maybe that's why they took off the spine and the cover. To be like, hey, we're not going to sell these. We're not trying to replicate them.
My interpretation was that they did that to make it easier to scan.
Yeah.
They did it to feed it through the because there's scanners that are specifically designed to scan books. So you pull off the spine, the cover, and then it basically just feed the pages. So I can see that all working, but like it's way harder method than just reading the EPUBs, or there's other ways to do this. So there had to be a reason for it.
Yeah.
Anthropic, though, I think out of all these AIs, I think they're pulling ahead, right? Like they seem to be the one that I'm seeing the most often now. They seem to be evolving faster than some of the other ones. I just downloaded Claude for Mac. Like they've got a desktop app now, which I don't know if the other ones have that yet. It's got the ability to actually, but and it's got something similar to the ChatGPT agent where it can manipulate stuff on my Mac, so I can teach it to perform like day-to-day functions and things like that.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to move it a little further away from all my hardcover books that are like 4 feet away because I don't want to pull the spines and the covers off. But I'll see what I can get out of it.
There was a trend recently on X where they were asking Grok and ChatGPT and other AIs, hey, can you generate an image of like symbolically how I treat you? And most people were getting back like this robot being beaten or tortured. I got back one who was sharing a cup of coffee with me with little hearts around us.
And, Kevin,
I
will.
You
treat your AI well.
Yeah, I will survive the coming robot apocalypse.
I also saw this week that ChatGPT, when asked to cite its sources, cited Grok. So there's that.
Oh my god.
You think do they look up to each other?
I bet Sam Altman loved that.
Sam Altman and Elon Musk have a little flame war going in social media right now. So
yeah,
I'm sure that was fun. All right. Final story. IPG teams with Beat technology for DC2 ebooks and audiobooks. Independent Publishers Group is partnering with Beat technology to give its client publishers a new way to sell ebooks and audiobooks direct to consumer using Beat's white label reading and listening app Shelf. Shelf will launch in app stores in late February, allowing readers to access purchases in one app while publishers gain a turnkey direct to consumer solution, something that has historically been difficult for indie presses in digital formats. Beat charges a flat 30 cents per transaction, positioning the platform as a transparent, lower cost alternative to dominant digital ecosystems like Amazon and Audible. This is Beat's first major US publishing partnership, with IPG framing 2026 as a pivotal year for rolling out a full modernized direct consumer infrastructure across formats for independent publishers. Does this include indie authors as independent publishers? That's what I want to
You're
know.
gonna have to take a look into it. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I think it's interesting that, this direct to consumer model is really taking off, in the
Yeah.
last year. People are really pushing it. So
Yeah. This, along with the story we had last week about Spotify having a scan to sync thing between print books and audio or ebook.
yeah.
I mean, those two things are huge game changers. They really do have the ability, the potential to topple Amazon as the dominant marketplace, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think, and Kevin, this is probably for you, like, do we need to pursue this on our own, or is this something like Drafted Digital will just pick up as one more option for us and we don't have to mess with it?
I suspect that D2D is probably already looking at this. I know that if I were there, they would be, but I assume that they are. But I think that you would be wise to go ahead and it becomes less direct to consumer if you are depending on a third party to facilitate it. So I think it would be wise for us to go ahead and dive in and do it ourselves as just another marketplace and maximize the amount of revenue we can get off of it. If you are just scared of that kind of thing, then I think D2D or somebody like them will come along and make it easier. But personally, I'm going to go do it on my own.
There you go.
I just look at the amount of time that's involved in setting something like that up, and like with it being a new platform, I don't know what the return is going to be and whether it's worthwhile or whether it's even going to be around in 6 months. So from my standpoint, like if I can get a third party to set it up, that's fantastic. I mean, if it grows to some huge thing, you can always turn it off at D2D and you can log in on your own.
Well, might I recommend reaching out to authoranchor.com and getting a VA at $7.50 an hour to help you to help do that for you. If you're going to pay a third party anyway. Just saying.
Just
Just
saying.
saying.
Just saying. All right.
You know that manuscript you've been editing for the past year? One that's almost done, but never quite gets there? Well, right now, it's crying out for help from this episode's sponsor, AutoCrit. Quite possibly the most powerful all-in-one writing platform, AutoCrit puts an entire publishing team in the palm of your hand. Get access to customizable automated alpha and beta readers, plus series-wide story analysis, marketing support, line editing tools that can help you catch the mistakes you miss, and even more, including exclusive craft events only for members. The value is insane, and right now you can grab lifetime access for just one payment. No monthly fees, no usage limits, no caps, no tokens. At AutoCrit, unlimited means unlimited. It's time to finish your book. Start making real progress, escape revision limbo, and publish with confidence story after story. Check out autocrit.com/JD to save 50% on lifetime membership right now. That's autocrit.com/JD.
JD, who is up this week?
This week, so there's no right or wrong way to write a book, but when it comes to the tools that you can use, some are far better than others. This week we've got Oliver Evensen of Scrivener on the show. Scrivener has been the go-to writing software for many of us, and it's about to get way better. Oliver is going to explain what's coming in 2026. Here he is, Oliver Evensen.
Well, I think this will be a fun interview actually because I have my roots as an author are tied in with the topic of today's interview. But I'm talking with Oliver Evensen, who's the director of marketing and outreach at literature and latte, or as the rest of us call it, Scrivener.
So true, so true. Yeah, I mentioned literature and Latin, and they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, do you know Scrivener?" And everyone's eyes just light up. Oh yeah, Scrivener, Scrivener. I love Scrivener. Yep,
It's pretty
that's how it goes.
funny. I actually remember in the early days. I mean, when I first discovered Scrivener, I was on the lookout for something. Really, what I was on the lookout for at the time was something that would let me use digital index cards because that's what I was using to do documentary television writing. So
Hmm.
Scrivener had that, but what is why was it called Literature and Latte? What was the origin of that name?
The story behind that.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good question. That I should probably know the answer
You
to.
should,
I have
you of
no
all
idea.
people.
So it's before me, before my time. From what I understand, the Keith, the creator of Scrivener, he's, all he, I know his story. He started out wanting to write a book like most of us, right? And he wanted to write a great novel, right? And as he looked around for softwares that could do what he wanted to do, there just was nothing on the market at the time that could do everything he wanted it to do. And so he put the book away, so to speak. He said, "I'm going to write the app myself. I'm going to make it myself," and he did. And it just kind of grew from there. And I think the idea of literature and latte came from this idea that we read and write great literature, and that's what Scrivener's for, right? And we enjoy it with a nice cup of coffee, right?
Exactly. That's those two things are what fuel my every waking moment. Literature and latte.
Latte, exactly.
Well, literature and coffee. I don't do lattes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
that that is it's kind of almost the origin story of every great brand in the writing community, it seems like. There
yeah.
wasn't anything to do the thing I wanted to do, so I went and made the
Made
thing.
it. Yeah.
So how big has Scrivener gotten at this point?
In terms of size, we're actually still a pretty small company.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe about 20 of us total. I haven't counted all the little freelancers and everyone else we have around, but like in the actual company in our group, I'd say there's about 20 of us. And the nice thing about that is because we are such a small company, so we're really close. We're all really close to each other. We all know each other really well. We all work really well together. And ironically, we all got into this why? Because we wanted to write a book.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about every company. A lot of companies, people just come and they just work there for whatever reason. But everyone on the team is a writer. And so we're all deeply invested in seeing Scrivener succeed and making sure that anyone who uses it also has the help and support that they need.
Yeah. And I guess we should have covered this because I always just assume everyone knows, but Scrivener is
A writing software. Yes, exactly.
the writing software for a lot of us. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I haven't checked with the rest of the team. I know that I use it and JD uses it. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if Christine or Jenna use it. Uh, and it is one of those things. It's sort of like when I discovered Scrivener. I had been writing books in Microsoft Word because that was just the standard. Like everybody
Yep.
had
That's what
Word,
everyone uses, right?
right?
Yep. Hmm.
And I was a copywriter for a big chunk of my life, and so it was just required. But
Hmm.
it was a nightmare for writing long format to me. It was always a
Oh yeah.
problem. So Scrivener made that whole process much easier for me because it was non-linear. I could write a
Yes.
scene, move a scene, that sort of thing. Do you hear stories like that a lot? I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah, all the time, all the
Yeah,
time. In fact, that's probably what the story I hear the most. I
yeah,
mean, that's my story too. I was using Microsoft Word like you. It's for, I wasn't a copywriter or anything. I was just a lowly fantasy writer here in college and in high school and just loved writing. And I just realized I had all these documents
yeah,
all over my computer, all this research, all these images, all these, PDFs, you name it. I had folders for it. And even just writing, like if you get past like 30,000 words in a Microsoft Word document,
right.
unfortunately, it just kind of breaks down. It
Yeah,
doesn't work very well.
yeah,
And so what do? You break up your chapters into single individual Word documents. And before you know it, you're just like, it's just a mess. It was
right,
just a mess.
right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the beauty
Because
of
then
Scrivener.
how do you marry that all back together? You
Exactly.
stitch that all together. So that was my experience, and that led to me actually being able to write a lot more and a lot more frequently. So yeah, very appreciative of that. Here's the thing though. I think I use 1% of what Scrivener can do. Are there things that I'm missing?
Oh, I guarantee it. Because to be honest, there are things that I'm missing. I've been
Yeah,
using Scrivener for some odd 15 years now, and I do not use every single tool in Scrivener. And I would still consider myself a power user. I mean, most people look at my webinars and things that we do, and they're like, "Oh, Oliver, that's wow, that's amazing. You can do all these different things." I'm like, "Yeah, but don't freak out. Like, you don't have to do it all. In fact, that's the biggest thing to people like you is I say, hey, 1%, that's great.
yeah,
That's all you really need. If you knew that 1% and that's working for you, you're writing novels, you're getting things published, what's the big deal? But if you
right.
want to learn more, then go ahead. You certainly can. I can teach you. I can show you how because there's a lot of cool things you can
Yeah,
do. And yeah, there might be some aha moments down the road. She's like, oh, I wish I had known about that like 5 years
right.
ago because that would have saved me so much time. It's things like that. If you're willing to invest the time and you want to, then go ahead. You'll find some pretty neat stuff.
Well, let's do a quick overview then.
Okay.
What would you say are, I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are like the top 5 things that you can do with Scrivener aside from just writing the book? What should people know about?
That's a great question. Probably one of the easiest ones to just throw out there right now is the name generator. I don't know if, are you familiar with the name generator?
I am not. Okay, go
You're
ahead.
not.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
there we
teaching
go.
me.
So
I told you,
there is
1%.
there is a whole tool that allows you to generate up to 500 names from various name lists that are already built into Scrivener. You can even adjust the obscurity level, how like more well known they are, or how obscure they are, and it just click a button. It can generate 50, 100, 500 names. And then what I do is I just copy and paste that into a list in a Scrivener document in my research folder with my characters. So anytime I need a character, I just go grab from that list. And it may be just be a placeholder because I don't know about you. A lot of writers, we spend a lot of time like obsessing
Yeah,
over names, especially fantasy writers. Any fantasy writers out there, you really obsess over
right.
those names, and you can waste a lot of time doing that. And so I don't do that anymore. I just copy paste, and anytime I need a new name, I just go grab it from my list and put it in. I tell myself I will change that later if I really want to. So that's one of the top tools. I feel like I'm surprised. Honestly, people don't know about that one because it's so easy to find. It's so easy to get to. You
Yeah.
just click a button and there it is, and you're ready to get started with it. So
All
that's number
right.
one.
That's number
Okay.
one. All
So
right.
number
4 to go.
two, yeah, four to go. Let's see number two. A big thing that scared me when I was using Scrivener, and so I didn't use this tool for a good 10 years into using Scrivener, was metadata. I know, are you familiar with with metadata at
I
all?
mean, I know what metadata is, but how
Okay. Yeah.
in
In the
context.
Scrivener context, okay, there is a metadata tab that tells you all this lovely information about your document that you have open in the binder, whether it's a chapter or a scene or a whole book or whatever, right? And so you can see general metadata there, like when it was created and when it was modified and things like that. But what's really cool is you can create your own custom metadata or your own custom information about a particular chapter or scene, what's going on in there. And so that's one thing where you can like add in like things like deadlines for each individual chapter or scene. You can add in things like characters in the scene. You can add in I'm trying to think of some common things I've used. There's just so many different things you can do. It's totally customizable. You can do it
Yeah.
anyhow you like. And so it's really powerful to have all that information available to you and to be able to assign it scene by scene. Oh, here's one I just remember. Plot beats. Okay, so if you're
Okay.
or plot points or things like that, you can assign. You could create a list and say, here are all the plot beats. Let's say you're using like Save the Cat or something, right?
Right.
You could put all the plot beats inside of a list inside the custom metadata, and then when you go to each chapter or scene, you can assign a beat or a plot point to each chapter and scene. I can then push that into the outliner and I can see my whole story. And so I might look and say, oh, this has no beat assigned. So I don't know what's going on here. That tells me I don't really understand the structure of my story at that
Yeah.
specific section. Or I can say, I can see that I have hit all of the beats in the Save the Cat plot structure, right? From beginning to end. And that tells me, okay, I'm on track. That means I haven't missed anything. If there's anything missing, I can easily go and rectify that, fix it. If I'm missing a beater or I'm missing a specific key structural point, I can go and add that in. To me, that was a game changer because for the longest time, structure was my biggest problem. I
Yeah.
just didn't understand what made a good story, what structure would hold it up and make a story that it's good. And now you can get into the argument as to like what makes a good story, like structural wise, right? And that whole thing. But just having a structure for me was a big deal because now I could see there was a beginning, a middle, and an end that I could
Yeah.
get to. So
Okay.
that was a big one. Sorry, I kind of geek out on that one because I think it's so cool.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
You're clearly a plotter.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I usually pants like the first draft.
Yeah.
And then I go in with Scrivener. Scrivener kind of turned me into a plotter because I'll go in and start like, okay, trying to identify the different points and the story structure from that point.
Yeah.
And so I consider myself more of a plantser because I pants the beginning and then I go and I just take it apart with Scrivener and just reorganize and plot. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
get it. Yeah. I admire
okay,
that.
so that's number 2.
All right, that's
okay?
2. Let's go.
Number 3, let's talk about labels. Labels
Okay.
is another thing. I'm sure you're familiar with labels, right? Bottom right
Yes.
corner of the in the inspector there, you can assign to anything. And so labels are really versatile. I like that they have a color assigned. Some people use them to keep track of like the progress of their story. In fact, that's one of the most common things.
That's what I do, yeah.
Yeah, you turn into a status list. You can visually see, green is done and red is to do, and yellow is like in progress or something to that effect, right? Which is great. If you're like me, if you write fantasy novels, then oftentimes one of the trickiest thing is keeping track of viewpoints, right? You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Who knows how many viewpoints you may have. You may have several. And so for me, I use that to keep track of my key characters. And so every time I see a color, I know that's a character in a different point of view. And so I'll assign a character for each color for each character. And then what's really cool is I can then put that in like the corkboard, for example, and I can see all the characters' arcs by label, right? Label by label by label. Okay. And you get that nice arranged by label view. You can see each character in sequence, where they're going and what's going on with that character. Great. Right. And what I really love about Scrivener is that, these tools I'm mentioning, they kind of work in tandem with each other, right? So we're now using the corkboard, we're using labels, and we're seeing this come across really well. What's even cooler, though, is we can use the metadata, now that I just talked about a minute ago, and go a step further. And I can actually tell Scrivener I can assign all the beats, right? Let's say each character, or at least according to Save the Cat, right? They're each going to have their own little plot structure from opening image all the way to that final image at the end, right?
Right.
And so I want to see that not only together in the outliner or in the corkboard as all of them together. I'd like to see them individually, one character at a time. That's where I come to probably, I guess I'm on my 4th one now, right? 4th one.
Are we?
Or 3rd?
Third? I think 3rd.
3rd?
Yeah.
3rd? Okay. Yeah. I'm losing track here. But anyway, whichever one we're at, we move to collections, which allows me to group, key data together. So I pull my metadata plot beats, for example, and I could pull all the plot beats for each character individually, each beat alone, or I could use the label, pull the entire character, and see their structure without actually changing anything in my binder. So I can see, let's say I have a character named John. I can see John's opening image all the way to his final image in one view. So I can view it in the corkboard, I can view it in the outliner, and I can view it, all the text is just a single fluid document like in Microsoft Word. And I can see using metadata, did I hit all the beats for this character? What's missing for this character? And when you're writing a massive fantasy novel or any sort of massive book where you have lots of moving parts, that is a big deal because you wouldn't be able to just see that in Microsoft Word. You couldn't just go and say, oh, let me quickly grab all these scenes or these chapters from this one character's point of view. You'd actually literally have to copy and paste everything. Oh, it would be a nightmare. But in Scrivener, I can just pull it up. One command, bring it in, boom, it's done. It's right there for me to see. And I can then make a decision as a writer, like what needs to be fixed, what needs to be changed. It doesn't solve the problem for you, right? Yeah. But it really gives you the direction, right? It helps you see what you need to work on. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
I think
once
we
again,
got one more.
Yeah, one more.
Do one
So
more.
let's do one more. Let me see. Probably project targets.
Okay.
I know. Okay. And my top 5 tools frequently change.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are the ones that I'm really geeking out about right now. Number 5 would be project targets. And this one is probably essential for me because I am very much a planner, right? I know I keep saying I'm a pantser. I do I think I'm moving more and more away with that as I get more comfortable as a writer. Um, I'm and so I do like to plan now. And so I use the project targets tool to keep track of like a draft target. So I'll set like a general target of like 100,000 words for my fantasy novel. If I'm trying to be really shorten it up, I'll do like 80,000 or something like that. But whatever you're writing, you choose your target, whatever you want it to be. And then you can set a session target too and say, hey, how many words do I want to write every day? Now, what's really cool is Scrivener actually keeps track of your writing history. So that's another cool bonus tool there.
Yeah.
That you can see what you've been doing. And so just by virtue of me writing in Scrivener for over so many years, I've seen that I tend to write about 750 words a day. Something I didn't really know about myself, but just something I discovered. Every time I open one of my projects and I see that history, I'm averaging about that 750 words. And
Yeah.
so I could just say to myself, let me just put 750 as my daily target because I know that's typically what I hit.
Hmm.
Or I can go and say, hey, Scrivener, if I want to write 100,000 words in 3 months, how many words do I need to write every day to reach that goal, right? And Scrivener will automatically calculate that for me.
Huh.
But me knowing myself, right, I can then decide like, hey, if the goal is too high, like if it's asking me to write 2,000 words a day and I'm like, I don't do that, then I can adjust that, tweak it till I get it just right where I want it to be. And I can know realistically, hey, I will probably hit that goal because historically that's what I've done.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
there you go.
I did not know that they had a tool to calculate that for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
all right. That's interesting. See, this is what I'm saying. Do you know, I even own, and it's wildly out of date now, but I own a copy of Scrivener for Dummies.
Oh, really? Yeah. I think it was Gwen Hernandez, right? They wrote that.
Something like that. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably 20 years old at this point, but so it's probably wildly out of date. But uh, yeah, but even with that, I don't know even half the things that Scrivener does. Uh, I've used the metadata a little, and I've used the categories or whatever, color coding, and I've used in the past I used the cards, but I don't use the corkboard stuff anymore. But
Hmm.
which is probably too bad.
You know, I don't think so because, I mean, frankly speaking, a lot of people come to Scrivener for the corkboard like you did.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of cool. But for me, I'll be honest, I don't use the corkboard as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
It's just not as an essential tool to me as it is for some people. I do like the arrange by label view where I can see them, each character, so to speak, in their colors. I do like that view. But other than that, that's honestly all I use the corkboard view for. Typically,
I'll
ahead.
tell you where it's useful, where it's truly
Okay.
useful. And
Tell me.
that is if you are doing a lot of research heavy stuff for a nonfiction book or fiction, I suppose it could work for fiction too, but if you were doing a nonfiction book with a lot of research, like I came in because I used to use a literal corkboard and 3x5 note cards to organize interviews, sound bites from the interviews so that I could arrange them to form the paper edit of a show. I could see doing that with research and that sort of thing for a nonfiction book. I think it'd be very helpful. But
Oh, I agree.
yeah, maybe not as much for fiction. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's tricky, and that's what I like about Scrivener is it has that versatility, where you can kind of do what you like, that nonlinear approach, right? Where you do things how you like it. There's no 100% this is the right way or this is the wrong way to use Scrivener. It's kind of like you figure out what process works for you.
yeah,
And I think as writers, sometimes we are always, especially beginning writers, we're always looking at other people like, well, what's your process? How do you do things? We haven't really discovered for ourselves, like, what is your process? Have you even thought to ask yourself, well, what would be the ideal writing process for me? What would be the ideal way for me to work? And I think that's what Scrivener forced me to do, is I had to really look at myself and say, well, yeah, I can do all these cool things, but what do I really need? What do I really need to do? And as I have grown as a writer, it's become easier and easier to use Scrivener for what I need and not necessarily just because it has a tool or because
right.
someone said, oh, do this or do that. You kind of learn who you are as a writer. And and learn and grow and become a better writer because of it.
Yeah, 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 and that's what any good tool is supposed to do for you, right? Especially if you're using it for something like writing, it should teach you something about yourself, so that
Yeah.
you are becoming a better version.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are talking to users
Hmm.
of this platform, well, actually, no. Let me change that. There was something
Okay.
else I wanted to ask you, which was it's a pay once kind of product. It's not a subscription model, which I
Yep.
do appreciate because everybody
Yep.
wants my dimes. But
All right.
and you do like you do charge for like a major like a .o release.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
was the kind of motivation behind that? Like, why did you guys land on that as your model?
That's a great question. I don't think anyone when we started that whole subscription model started, nobody liked it. Everybody was kind of like, ugh, I don't know about this. You wanted me to pay every year. And it was it was kind of in a way forced upon us. More and more people adopted it, and before you know it, everyone was using the subscription model. At least so it seemed. It was really hard to find like an app you can just buy and
Yeah.
use. And frankly speaking, it's I understand it. Like from a developing perspective, it's probably why we're a smaller team still is because you do make a lot more money from a subscription model. You really do. And
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier to what do you call it? To keep development going, right?
Right. Right.
We're fortunate that Scrivener has been very, very successful, that we've not needed to adopt any model like that. It's just out of this world how amazing Scrivener has done. How, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. It's such a great app, and people love it. You hear it in their voices when they come and tell you about it, and at least they tell me how much they love Scrivener, and I feel it because I'm right there with them. I'm an evangelist. I'm telling everybody, you gotta use Scrivener. Why are you using
Right.
Word? Why are you using Google Docs? Switch over to Scrivener.
Yeah. Because of that pay once model, it seems to me that the software itself is a much friendlier option to especially new authors. Because
Yes, yeah,
if an incoming author had to pay, $20 a month to use Scrivener, and
hmm,
they're not making any money from their writing, and they get in a slump and they have to buy groceries or whatever in this very expensive time in our
yeah,
lives and
yeah.
culture,
This economy, yeah,
the first thing that may go is this software that could actually help them to realize a dream and maybe make income from it. So I, for one,
yep.
appreciate that, there's no additional charge. So,
Yeah, the subscription model we didn't want any part of it, to be
mhm.
frank, and we still don't want any part of it. We have no plans to switch over to any sort of subscription model whatsoever, and we're going to maintain this model for as long as we can. In fact, we're even, we have I don't know if anyone really knows, but we have another app also called Scapple, right? A mind
Yep.
mapping tool.
Hmm.
It's quite a bit cheap, but that's the same kind of model there. We're also even coming out with a new app here soon. It's currently in beta called Written. And it's very, very similar to Scrivener in some respects, except for it has iCloud sync, and it's going to be a little bit simpler. It's not going to have all the tools that Scrivener currently has. And
Interesting.
so yeah. So, for some users who only use the 1% of Scrivener, it may make sense to say, hey, let me switch over and let me try Written out and see if this is a better fit for me.
Will it open Scrivener files?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have not tested that yet. I
Okay.
believe he's usually pretty good about making the apps work really, really well together. Like I know Scapple, I can bring Scapple documents into Scrivener. I can drop and drop notes from a Scapple document into my Scrivener project. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
actually. So if you're big into mind mapping, those two work really well together. I imagine he has something planned
Okay.
in that regard. But I can't say for certain yet. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's still in beta. But I
Yeah.
will say this: I've messed around with it on like iPad. Like I really liked it. I thought it was an incredible iPad app. You use Scrivener for iOS and iPad, right? And
Yeah.
I enjoy that app. I actually enjoyed the written iOS app more than I enjoyed Scrivener
Okay.
for iOS personally. And that's just a personal preference for me. I just felt like it was meant it just works a little bit better. Whereas,
Yeah.
we designed Scrivener on iOS and iPad based off of, the desktop app. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard to do that because iOS, unfortunately, is just not a very robust platform. It just can't do all the things that Mac can do or
Right.
Windows can do. And
Right.
so by nature, we had to really streamline, we had to cut things out. So there are a lot of tools that I use like every day on Scrivener for desktop that I can't use on the iOS app. So that just for me, it just kind of discouraged me from using the app because, well, unless I'm like typing on my phone, which I could see that I know writers who have just written a whole novel on their phone, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'm one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great. If you can do that, if that's a trigger for you and it works really well, do it. Just for me personally, I never hit because I just don't use my phone or my iPad that often. So
yeah,
anyway.
No, I've actually started using the iPad more for things, writing in particular, and I do like the Scrivener app, but it has some limitations and causes some headaches. Frankly, there's some little tiny headaches. One of those is when you are using the word tracker, if you forget to reset it. Then and then
it just keeps going, right?
It just keeps going from the last session. So that's a bit of a pain.
Yeah, and it should. Yeah, there should be a feature like that it should just automatically change. In fact, Scrivener for desktop, it's there. You can set it so it'll just automatically reset at the end of every day. Right. Yeah, and so little things like that we probably could fix that one. I'll keep an eye on that one for you. But
if you are looking for beta testers for written, I know a guy.
Great. We'll get you in. Yeah, you should try it out. It's great.
Yeah. But, all right. So you kind of stepped on my line there a little because I was going to wrap things up. I was going to ask like what's coming. So that's one thing. Is there anything else we need to know about?
As far as roadmap, I know he has a lot of things planned. I may have mentioned earlier we're a small team, so it takes us a while. I know people have been asking us again and again, is Scrivener coming to Android? And the short answer is it's coming, but it's on the roadmap. But I wish I could say, oh, it's going to be here next year or next month or whatever. But it's there. Yeah. It's not there yet. I know we're looking, at Scapple, potentially expanding Scapple to other platforms as well, which is a little bit simpler of an app. So it may make more sense for something like that to come first. So if you're a Scapple user, look forward to that. We are working on that. And of course, the big one is this new app Written that's going to be coming out here within the next, 4 to 5 months or so.
Very intrigued.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. All right. Well, where can everybody find Scrivener?
You actually can type in scrivener.com. It'll take you straight to.
It didn't used to, by the way. It did not used to do that.
Yeah, we bought the domain. And so now it redirects you to literatureandlatte.com. So yeah, I know that was a big source of confusion for a long time. Glad we got that fixed. It is scrivener.com or literatureandlatte.com. So if you don't know, if you can't remember our company name, scrivener.com will work just fine.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thanks so much. This is great. I can't wait to see Written. I can't wait to see what you guys do, in the coming years. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So first up, before the interview, JD made a statement that I feel I need to correct. There is a right way to write a book, and it is with Scrivener.
Wow.
So I don't get paid by them or anything. It's just a gut instinct. So Oliver and I, we talked about how the Scrivener team is made up of writers, that a lot of them are writers, and that has helped influence the actual design of the product. So do you think that makes a difference? Like if companies, are made up primarily of authors, are they going to be able to better serve the author community?
I think so. I mean, one of the things that I did very early on, because I came out of a computer programming background, so when I started writing books, I actually wrote my own software to organize the book. And it looked a lot like Scrivener. I could basically create a chapter, I could drag and drop, I could move stuff around. But that's obviously a lot of work. And then I discovered Scrivener is out there, and it didn't make any sense for me to develop my own anymore. I just kind of jumped on theirs. I know a lot of people that write in different things. I guess Microsoft Word is probably the next most popular behind Scrivener. But it's not as efficient, and like it's hard to manipulate data. It's hard to edit. And the one thing that always freaks me out, I mean, it's 2026, and like if I open a novel on Microsoft Word, my brand new Mac is still screaming, like the fan is twirling, hourglass is on the screen trying to open that 100,000 word document. And it feels like it's going to crap out on me at any time. And Scrivener never has a problem with it. I've got, I think, 5 different books right now, Scrivener books, like actual open files on my Mac, because I'm working on these prequels, so I need all the other ones kind of in front of me. It has no trouble, juggling all that data. So it's a solid piece of software.
Yeah. It changed the game for me, for sure. Go ahead,
I
Jen.
have Scrivener. I've used it. There is, I don't know, something about Microsoft Word. I mean, yes, it's definitely flawed, but I don't know, like it's harder for me to write in Scrivener, but I do like their tools, like the drag and drop. I've used that name generator before. Like they do have quite a lot of stuff in there. But I also think that for new writers, it can be a little daunting, like trying to figure out how to navigate all of it.
I know I probably don't use it properly. Like I probably use about 5% of its functionality.
I think that means that you are using it properly, though, because I think that's kind of the point of it. Like you can go in there at any skill level, and it's going to do what you need to do to write a book. Like
That's
Kevin,
true.
I know Kevin's fond of the index cards. I don't use those. But plenty of other people do. So like depending on what your own preferences are, it's got them covered, which is nice. Because most software packages, you pick them up, they've got 90% of what you need, and they're always missing something. Scrivener seems to be the only one that has all of them.
Yeah. What I like about it is that you can keep your research there, in a separate place, and it's with there, and you can put your character sheets and pictures and files and all of that. But I keep telling myself, I'm going to take that research one day and turn it into newsletter content. So maybe one day
that's a good idea.
This is my book, and this is where one day.
One thing that I do with every project is I create another folder below research that I call Ash Bin, and it's something I stole from the comic book writing world. But it's it's the stuff that I write that I end up pulling that I don't use at all. I drop it in to the Ash Bin, label it somehow. That's the stuff I've been thinking about using for
I've seen
content.
writers do that too, authors. Like I think that's actually the deleted scenes. Those are fun too to add, like especially if you like drop a whole chapter like in special editions. I've seen that they'll add those, right? It's a whole deleted chapter, and if you buy the special edition, you get these 3 deleted chapters.
Yeah. I don't know. Because the risk is I'm going to read that and I'm going to be like, well, why didn't you leave that in the book? All right. So we talked about, I already did that one. So we talked about the importance of the customizable structure, the things that you can do like labels and metadata and all that stuff. Are there any unique or unexpected ways that you organize or track your writing that other writers might benefit from? It doesn't have to be in Scrivener.
I mean, I like that you can drop in some templates. So if you want to use like a 3-act structure, there are different templates for Scrivener you can drop in based on if you outline, I suppose. I've tried that. I kind of like that. There are some good templates out there.
I'd like to see the sharing functionality get tightened up a little bit. Like I just bought this new Mac, and my old one still works, so I figured I would travel with the old one. But like I can't have the same Scrivener file open on both without it creating errors.
I know.
It would be nice to be able to do that. But like I've got very few complaints. I mean, another feature I would love to see them create, like right now I'm working on these 3 prequels. So I've got 3 existing novels. Right now I've got a Claude project where I dumped all these books in there. So it's basically got 5 full novels in this Claude project, and I can ask it questions. So like I can say, give me a list of every time these 2 characters interacted. And it can spit that out in a couple of seconds, and like it's a real cool way to be able to go back through your series. If you're writing a long series, to try and find certain pieces of information. Because what I had to do before with Scrivener, and this still works, but I would have to use keywords. I'd have to open each of those projects, and I would have to try to remember some type of keyword that might flag the things that I need to flag, throw it in that little search box, and hope that it gets everything. But even that, it searches through very, very quickly.
Yeah. I don't know if this is something you're going to ask about, but I also like the target words, like for the whole project and for each scene.
Yeah. I
like
do
seeing that.
really like that with
Yeah.
Scrivener, especially it really helps you stay with your goal. Like I need to
Yeah.
sit down and do 1,000 words and then it tells you, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like that one a lot.
Yeah. I do use I set a manuscript target and I set a daily word target. I didn't use the other I didn't know the other features existed, so I'm gonna have to kind of play with that. But
Yeah.
that's actually part of why I think Scrivener became such a game changer for me when I first started, because I could see my word count in Word easy enough, right there at the bottom. But one of the things that it kind of helped gamify things for me. Like, and so
Yeah.
when I wrote Evergreen, I set the word target for the book, and I could watch that little wheel fill up, as I
Well,
went, and it kept me going,
it's really smart. And Christine, you know this, but people think that you get the dopamine when you get the reward, like so you're looking, but it's the
No, it's the
anticipation.
first,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
and so as you're watching that thing go up, your anticipation rises and rises and rises, which just keeps giving you that like motivational dopamine to keep
Yeah.
going. It's a brilliant feature.
I mean, we
Yeah.
all know this, right? Visual motivators, crossing off dates on a calendar, using a
Yeah.
sticker system. Like it works. It works as
Yeah.
adult. There are adult sticker systems that work.
So,
Yeah.
so be honest.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes add things to your list that you've already done just so you can scratch
Yes.
something off?
Absolutely. No, that's actually, they'll tell you that's actually a good hack to do because, you sometimes need that momentum. So like you have to put those easy things. I know that, the self-help gurus, they'll tell you anything and everything. Some will be like, no, only put the big things or only put 3 things. But if you really like know that checking things off like motivates you, write down as many as you can, like that you're going to do without even thinking, because then you get to check it off and now you're looking at your list and
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
My problem is I do get overwhelmed if I see a list that's got too many things on it. But I've made kind of a game out of like in the mornings I check my calendar against my Apple reminders, and I will move things if I think I don't have time for that today, but I can move it to tomorrow. And some things kind of just keep getting moved. But I will take a look just to see what could I knock out in the next like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knock that thing out just to clear that space
Yeah.
on there.
I do that too. I do my to-do list by vibe. Just like, what do I feel like doing right now?
Yeah.
And I love to-do lists because they work, and I also hate them because they work.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
for example, I
This
put
is the
this
difference
show
between
on
you
my
guys
to-do.
and an autistic person. So like when I look at my to-do list, everything is first in, first out, whether I want to do it next or not. Like it's like whatever's been on that that list the longest is what I always knock out first, even if it's something I
Well,
dread doing.
that's also a tactic that people will talk about, do that hard thing first, just do it and get
Eat
it out of the
that
way.
frog.
I've never
Yeah,
been like
it's-
that. I'm always mood. I mood read. I'm like, well, I'll read a couple sentences, something, and be like, yeah, I'll read this when I'm in the mood. And I'm mood everything. Everything's mood. Unless there's a deadline, then I do it. So
Well, yes. Yeah.
imminent deadlines get done. The
So,
one thing I need to learn, though, Kevin, maybe you can teach that, because this is the only
Sure.
one point of things that drive me crazy, is that when I try to format it into Microsoft Word, it doesn't format like the way that I need it to. And if I've worked on something in Microsoft Word and then I drop it back in and then I format it back into Microsoft Word, there's like spaces and like hashtags.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't
I
know how to
know that
fix
there are
that.
ways to fine tune that. That is
I
part of
need
that.
help with that. Someone help
Yeah.
me.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding when I say I use approximately 1% of what this software can do. And the
Yeah.
other 99 has all stuff like that in it. And because I don't use it ultimately, I don't leverage Scrivener for any form of formatting at all, because I go straight from Scrivener to Vellum when
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm
for my
putting mine
book.
into Microsoft Word because I need it in that
Yeah.
manuscript format to send to the people who want it in Microsoft
Right.
Word.
And when
in
I've had to
manuscript
do
format,
that,
right?
you know, I've had to go and sort of manually format the document myself.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it just gets to where it's like, it's not worth bringing it back into Scrivener, because
Yeah.
if I'm working with someone else, we almost always, I'll write it in Scrivener and then we end up working on it
Yeah.
in Word.
That's the
So,
only thing I need a hack for. So everybody
Yeah.
send me your hacks.
There are people who are geniuses at this software. I bet there's somebody out there that's
Somebody knows.
Oh,
It's just not me.
For sure. Yeah.
right.
All right. I guess with that, I usually ask who's up next week, but I guess what's up next week?
We are.
We
Jena.
are.
What's up?
We are a live episode. It's going to be a pull-up contest with Jenna and Christine.
Oh God.
Everybody is going to win. That is not me. Yeah.
And I'll actually be here. We were supposed to leave for Pittsburgh on Saturday, but we're not going now because of all the crazy weather and some other things.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll be here in my ghost office.
Everybody will be here.
Maybe it'll look like this.
Yeah. So join us next week. Writers Inc. Live, February 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Link is in the show notes. 1 p.m. Easter? Did I say Easter? Eastern, not Easter.
Stern.
Anyway, if you'd like to be notified as soon as new episodes publish, make sure you go to writersincpodcast.com and sign up now. We'll see you next episode, and have a great week of writing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Writers Inc. Access the show notes and leave a comment at writersincpodcast.com.